Okay, so we kick off every holiday season with holiday movies. I'm so excited because we are kicking it off with a couple of our favorites. We're gonna do a little Home Alone marathon. Home Alone 1 is my favorite. Home Alone 2 is my husband's favorite. And we're gonna celebrate our dinner and a movie tonight with a little Home Alone inspired meal. And I know some of you think that it's too early to green light on the Christmas movies because we haven't had Thanksgiving. And to that I say, not in my house it isn't. So, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you are new. My name's Nicole and on our Home Alone inspired menu today, for Kevin, we are gonna do our very own lovely cheese pizzas.
A lovely cheese pizza just for me.
But I'm gonna do two today. One we'll do a mozzarella pepper jack and white cheddar combo. And then we'll do another cheese pizza, Parmesan, mozzarella, and ricotta.
Yes! Yes!
Also in Home Alone 1, Kevin heats up his very store-bought microwavable mac and cheese.
Bless his highly nutritious microwavable macaroni and cheese dinner and the people who sold it on sale. Amen.
The clock strikes and he doesn't even get to eat it, but we are gonna eat ours today. I'm gonna be making mac and cheese, homemade, inspired, microwavable mac and cheese. You'll see what I mean. Both Home Alone 1 and 2, he eats these very big, kind of messy ice cream sundaes. So today I am going to make my own ice cream and we'll mix in some different flavors to make it a little fun.
2 scoops, sir?
2, make it 3. I'm not driving.
So we are also gonna be throwing in a big batch of chocolate chip cookies in there. Stocked in Kevin's mini bar in New York are these big wrapped chocolate chip cookies, which my husband's very excited about. All right, so you know the drill. We're gonna go ahead and get started on this meal and my husband's job will be to cue up the movie when we're ready to serve. Let's get cooking. Okay, so I figure we get started on our ice cream first, so that has time to freeze up. It's gonna need about 3 hours in the freezer. I don't own an ice cream maker, so this is sort of like a no churn ice cream recipe. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a vanilla base and then I'll go ahead and mix in some other flavors. So I'm just gonna start by adding in my heavy cream or heavy whipping cream, 2 cups in here. And I'm gonna add this to my mixer and we're gonna let this go for maybe about 2 minutes or so until we get stiff peaks. So let's let that run. Next we have our cream, nice and stiff. That took really closer to 5 minutes. So in a separate bowl, I'm gonna go ahead and add in 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. And I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 teaspoons of vanilla in here. And just mix this up. Now I'm just gonna scoop out half of this whipped cream into our condensed milk mixture. And we're just gonna fold this in nice and gently. Now that that's mixed in, I'm gonna pour it into our whipped cream. And then we're just gonna fold this to combine. So right now, this looks like a super soft serve type of ice cream. And I think it'll freeze up quite nicely. So super easy, and this is our vanilla base. For our first flavor mix-in, I'm gonna take out some of this ice cream base and just add it back into the bowl I was using. So my husband picked out these Oreo dark chocolate flavor. We're gonna go ahead and grab a few of those and just crush them in. Okay, and then just fold those in. Good amount of Oreo in there. So I'm gonna add this to my Pyrex dish. Went ahead and added a few on top for good measure. One done. Next flavor, I'm gonna add small amounts of my vanilla base. I'm gonna flavor this one with a little bit of peppermint flavoring that I have. This one's sugar-free, but I'm just gonna eyeball. I don't wanna put too much, just to give it that sort of pepperminty color. Just a little bit of food coloring to make it a light pink. This is gel food coloring that I use. And give that a nice mix. I found in my pantry these little pink sprinkles that I probably got on clearance somewhere. And I'm just gonna add some of these just to make it a little fun. Flatten that out a bit. Add some sprinkles to the top. So I don't know if that's coming out on camera, but it's a really soft pink. For our last third of vanilla base, I am not a fan of chocolate ice cream, but my husband is, so we're gonna make a little bit of that using this Hershey's syrup. I don't know how much, so we're just gonna guess and just fold that in. All right. I'm gonna pop the lid on this ice cream and I'm gonna throw these in the freezer. Now that we have our ice cream squared away, let's go ahead and get started on our pizza dough because that's gonna need time to proof. I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of active dry yeast into my bowl. Then I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of sugar. And then I have here 1 1/3 cup of warm water. Not hot, warm. I'm just gonna give that a little bit of a mix. And we'll wait a few minutes for that to proof before we start adding in our dry ingredients. It's been a few minutes. You can see that our yeast has been working. It's nice and foamy. I'm gonna go ahead and add my dry ingredients. I'm gonna add 3 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, and we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of olive oil and combine that all together. I cleaned my surface a bit and I'm just gonna add a little bit of flour and plop our dough out. And we're gonna knead this for about 10 minutes till it forms a nice ball. All right, it's been about 10 minutes. We have a nice dough here, nice and soft. Now I'm gonna pour a little bit of olive oil in it. Add my dough ball in here. Swipe it around a little bit, flip it over so that it gets nice and oily. I'm going to cover this up with a towel and add this to my oven with the bread proof setting on for 90 minutes. So my bread is just about done proofing at the 90 minutes. So I went ahead and hiked up the oven temp to 350 so we can get started on our macaroni and cheese. So for this recipe, I'm gonna do a baked macaroni and cheese, and I'm going to add in some Velveeta cheese just to give it more of that sort of store-bought type of flavor, because that's what Kevin is eating in the movie. And I know what you're thinking, that, you know, we already have 2 3-cheese pizzas. We have a lot of cheese going on tonight. But I talked to my husband about it and he said, just go for it. So luckily my toddler loves eating macaroni and cheese, so I'm not at all worried about this getting eaten. I'm just starting off with greasing my dish here. So the recipe I'm using, I'm actually going to cut in half because I don't need a full dish of macaroni and cheese. And then I added just a couple pats of butter at the bottom. I went ahead and boiled just some elbow macaroni till it was tender on the stove. So just according to the box directions. And I'm gonna add about half of it on top of that butter at the bottom. And in my measuring cup, I'm gonna mix 1 1/4 cup of milk. I'm gonna mix that with 1 egg and give that a whisk. I have my Velveeta cheese here. I'm gonna cube up about half a cup of this Velveeta and layer that on top of my noodles. Now I'm gonna go on top of that with half a cup of just some shredded cheddar cheese. I just shredded up a bunch of this in my food processor, and I'm gonna pour half of my milk egg mixture right on top. And then we're gonna go in and sprinkle in our seasoning. So these I'm not gonna measure, but this is just garlic powder, some black pepper. I have some brown mustard here, just a little shake, and then some paprika. And then we're gonna repeat the layers all over again. So just a little bit more butter, the other half of our noodles, and my next half of cup of Velveeta that I'm just kind of parsing out on top of this layer. And my half cup of cheddar right on top of that. And the rest of my milk and egg mixture. It's my sprinkle of garlic powder, a little ground mustard, black pepper, and paprika. All right, I'm gonna pop this in the oven at 350 degrees for about 15 minutes, and then we're gonna stir it up and put it back in. Okay, my mac and cheese is about halfway, so I'm gonna give it a good stir. So I'm gonna put this back in the oven for another 15 minutes. All right, so our dough has been proofing for about 90 minutes under the proof setting of my oven, and then an additional 30 minutes on the countertop because I was busy. So you can see it's risen quite nicely. We're gonna go ahead and punch it down and add it onto my countertop. Okay, I'm just gonna form this into a ball, and we're gonna cut that in half. This will be our 2 pizzas. Let's just form this into our pizza shape, which, yes, I'm not great at, but we're gonna give it a try. I've decided to sort of pre-bake the dough before I go in and add my toppings, just to ensure that my dough is cooked nicely. It really needs to stand up to all of that cheese we're gonna be adding. So this one's good. I'm gonna add this to my baking sheet. Let's get our second one. Okay, so I have my 2 pizza doughs here. As soon as that mac and cheese is done, which it almost is, just a couple more minutes, I'm gonna hike up the oven to 400 and then cook these for about 7 to 10 minutes until the crust like easily slides off of this pan, and then we'll start adding our toppings. Okay, I just took out my mac and cheese and it is bubbling, super hot. I'm gonna give it one more stir just to ensure everything is nicely combined. It smells really good, by the way. So I'm going to keep this heated while we wait for our pizzas to finish and make sure it stays warm. Now that our pizza crust, our pizza dough is in the oven, let's go ahead and get started on the cookie dough. Have my sidekick here because he's super interested right now in the kitchen. For this, I'm just gonna use my mother-in-law's recipe for chocolate chip cookies. I've made it on my channel before in a freezer meal video because When I make these, we like to make a big batch. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with 1 cup of softened butter. Okay, so I'm gonna add 3/4 a cup of white sugar, 3/4 a cup of my brown sugar. Do you wanna pour it in? Yeah, good job. Cream this up with our mixer.
Mama.
More? Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of vanilla in here. I'm gonna add in 2 eggs. And I'm gonna mix that in. This is what our dough is looking like. So now we'll add our flour. How much flour? I'm gonna add in 2 1/4 cup flour into the sifter. Okay, I'm gonna add in a teaspoon of salt in here as well. And I'm gonna do a teaspoon of baking soda, and I'm just gonna sift that in. All right, so we'll turn on this mixer one more time. Okay, this is our dough. How does it look? Semi-sweet chocolate chips. And I'm gonna add about 3 cups of this. So this is what our dough looks like. I'm actually gonna put it in the fridge and just let it rest while we finish up our pizzas. Okay, now that our pizza dough is about halfway cooked, we're gonna go ahead and get started on our 3 cheese toppings. So the first one we'll work on is gonna be the ricotta parm cheese mozzarella. On one of my pizzas, I'm just gonna go ahead and brush on a little bit of olive oil. I'm gonna add my mozzarella cheese. And in this bowl, I'm gonna add about 1/2 cup of this ricotta cheese in my bowl and about 1/4 cup of this grated Parmesan, and add in just a bit of salt. I'm gonna mix that together. So I'm gonna dollop some of this ricotta mixture all over. Okay, so I'm just gonna sprinkle on a little bit of Italian seasoning and some red pepper flakes, just to add a little more flavor. And for our second 3 cheese pizza, for this one, I'm just gonna use this jar I have of marinara. Actually, I'll do just a little bit of olive oil brushed on this one as well. I'm gonna smear on a little bit of this marinara. For our 3 cheeses on this one, I'm gonna start with mozzarella. And I'm gonna add, this is some white cheddar that I grated earlier, and that'll add some good sharpness. And then I also grated up a block of pepper jack. I will add a good amount of that as well. And we're gonna pop these in the oven for 10 minutes, just for that cheese to get nice and melted. Oh, before I forget, I do have some fresh basil here. Just a couple tears. In the oven we go. All right, so now that our pizzas are finishing up in the oven, I'm gonna go ahead and start scooping our chocolate chip cookies. I'm gonna use, this is about ice cream scoop size, because the cookies in Kevin's mini bar are quite large. I typically make these mini, but we'll do them a little bigger today. I'm just placing them on a parchment sheet. I'm gonna go ahead and add just a sprinkle of sugar on top of these cookies, because what it says to do, my mother-in-law's recipe, so doesn't sound like a bad idea to me. These are ready. My pizzas are ready to come out of the oven, so let's just switch these pizzas out of the oven. Look at how nice and cheesy those look. And I'm gonna switch my oven over to 375 and then pop in my cookies for about 10 to 11 minutes. In the cookies go. All right, that is a wrap on our Home Alone inspired dinner. That was so much fun. We've already taste tested. The pizzas are good. My ricotta one, a little on the bready side. I could have flattened that one out a bit more, but that pepper jack mozzarella 3-cheese pizza, chef's kiss. It is so good. There's so much flavor in it. It turned out great. The mac and cheese turned out good, but it's just so much cheese on the plate. So if you saw, I went ahead and threw in a little easy green salad. I know that Kevin doesn't eat salad in the movie, but I just felt like we needed a little more freshness in here. And then OMG on that ice cream sundae. I'm so surprised that this no-turn ice cream turned out so good. The cookies and cream one, amazing. The peppermint one, I actually, because I love peppermint so much, would have even went a little stronger on the peppermint flavoring. Our chocolate chip cookies, no brainer, 100% always turn out amazing. Thank you so much, friends, for joining me. My husband is gonna go ahead and start the video. We are gonna watch Home Alone 1 and 2. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.